Well, hey there, soulmates. It's your girl, Dr. Melissa, back with another soul stirring episode of Standing on Business, where it's not just business, it's personal. So, soulmates, today's message is for the woman, the man, the person who feels stuck between the weight of your circumstance and the whisper of your calling. Yeah, listen. Maybe life has thrown you a curveball. Maybe you are navigating grief, transition, financial pressure, or even self-doubt. But in spite of that, there's something inside of you that still knows that you're meant for more. Listen, soulmate, today I'm here as a reminder, as a clarion call that your calling was never meant to be canceled. It's just been quieted by the noise around you. And today, soulmate, we're going to turn up the volume on that call. How does that sound? Good, good? Listen, let me be real with you. And I know I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. Life gets loud. You know, the kids say life be lifing, right? Disappointments get loud. Bills get loud. Grief, anxiety, uncertainty, all of those things will try to drown out that quiet, consistent inner voice. Because I'm going to tell you, that inner voice knows. That inner voice knows who you are, in spite of the grief, in spite of the anxiety, in spite of the uncertainty, in spite of the finances. That inner voice knows who you're called to be. So what I really need you to hear today is that your circumstances are current, but your calling is eternal. Your circumstances are passing, but baby, your calling, your purpose, that's permanent. You know, sometimes we'll get in a storm, a hard time, and sometimes we will allow that circumstance of that storm to drown out who we were called to be. But what I need you to understand is that just because you're in a hard season, baby, that doesn't mean you wasn't chosen. Just because the door closed doesn't mean that your vision died. Just because you feel forgotten or people have walked away from you, that doesn't mean that you're forsaken. I'm going to tell you, I can remember being in the middle of losing my late husband. Now, in the midst of that, I was also running a business. I was raising children. I was trying to manage grief and growth all at the same time. And I'm going to tell you that there were moments when I really questioned if I still even had the right to dream. I questioned if I had the right to show up. I questioned if I had the right to speak out boldly. I'm going to tell you what I discovered in that time, soulmate. I came to understand that in spite of being in the middle of all of that mess, my calling didn't go anywhere. It was just waiting for me. It was waiting for me to show up. My calling was waiting on the other side of my surrender. Let's say that word, surrender, right? Because that's when we realize that there are some things that we can change and some things that we can't change. Some things that we can control and some things that are beyond our control. And the beautiful thing about your calling is that your calling is never about the things that you can't control. Because if you can't control it, then you're not called to do it, right? Your calling is always about those things that you are capable and able to show up to do, to say yes to. And so surrender is simply about saying, I can't do anything about that. I can't help that they left. I can't help that they no longer want to be with me. I can't help that they decided to give the job to someone else, right? Surrender is about just the acceptance of those things that we cannot change. So, in the midst of all of this, soulmates, one of the things that I really had to learn was that purpose and calling oftentimes whisper. I can promise you, your calling and your purpose won't always come through loud applause. Whew. And sometimes that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the applause. We're waiting for the agreement. We're waiting for people to give us the permission and the acceptance of what we know we're called to do. But I'm going to tell you, most times your calling won't come through that. Most times your calling comes in quiet conviction. What do I mean? You'll hear that whisper of your call sometimes when you're just scrolling, but then something in your spirit will stir. You'll feel that calling and purpose sometimes when you're helping somebody do something, and you'll think to yourself, ooh, this feels like what I was created for. Like something about that experience of helping them feeds your soul, and you have this epiphany. Whew, this feels like alignment. You'll notice your purpose and calling sometimes when you keep circling back to the same idea, the same dream, the same mission, even when life and other people will try to shut it down. Like it's that recurrent thing. I think about when I was a young child, my nickname, my dad nicknamed me Motor Mouth. And I promise you, when I was a kid, that was not something that made me feel all that great. And I don't think he said it to be mean, but it was said as a slight rebuke. It's like you talk too much. You're always talking. And I will tell you, I spent years like trying to will myself to be quiet. So like I would walk in a room and I would say, just don't talk. Just walk in and just smile and y'all within 5 minutes, I was running my mouth. The thing is, that's who I was. I kept coming back to that place where I needed to converse, where I needed to connect. It's just who I am. And it doesn't matter who criticized it or who didn't understand. Shout out to all my teachers who used to write me up. Um, it didn't matter. That was a part of who I was called to be. And here I sit years later, running my mouth, even right now. So I want you to think about when you're trying to grapple with this whole thing about call and purpose. Don't make it deep. It's embedded in those experiences, in those things that oftentimes we overlook because we're looking for the likes and shares and the parade. And I'm going to tell you that your purpose oftentimes won't come in the midst of a parade. I'm going to tell you that those quiet moments. For me, 3 in the morning, looking up at the ceiling with this thing inside of me that was just churning. And I knew it was bigger than me. And it was bigger than anything that I had seen. That, Queen, that is your calling. So, even if you feel buried by responsibility right now, here's what I need you to know. Buried and planted looks exactly the same. You know, Oftentimes we can feel buried, but it's not a burial. You're not buried, you're planted. And when you stop resisting and start leaning in, you're going to begin to hear that voice again, that still small voice. And here's what I'm going to tell you. When you start to hear it again, even though it's a whisper, even though it's still and it's small, I am telling you, it's louder than fear. It's louder than failure. It's louder than what you've been through. So let's talk about the lies, right? Let's talk about what keeps us from walking in purpose while our life is still lifing. And I'm going to tell you one of the biggest lies and one of the biggest reasons that we get stuck is because we actually believe that we have to have it all together before we can walk in our purpose. But sis, my brother, I'm going to tell you that's a lie. That's a no. You do not have to wait until the money shows up. You don't have to wait until the grief passes. You don't have to wait until the kids are grown or until you feel ready. That's the old then I thing that I talk about. When I get the money, then I'll start the business. When I lose 15 pounds, then I'll meet somebody. No, we don't have to wait until we get it all together, because I'm going to tell you that we walk by faith, not by perfection. Here's what I tell the women in my community. Purpose doesn't wait for perfection. It simply requires obedience in the middle of the mess. Let's say that again. Purpose, your calling, it doesn't wait for perfection, which is a myth. No. What purpose requires is obedience in the middle of the mess. So if I had to give you a permission slip today, it would simply say, show up as is. Let your voice be shaky. Let your plan be imperfect. Let your heart be in the midst of healing. This whole misnomer that we need to have it together, we need to already be healed. And I'll talk to you as a person that went through significant grief. There was this concept that, hey, you need to heal first. Before you do anything, you need to be healed. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what that even means. What does that mean to be healed? There is a part of me that will always be tender when it comes down to the things that I've lost, the people that I've lost, the storms that I've gone through. I don't understand this concept of I needed to be on the other side of grief before I could grow. And I'm not here to stand against anybody's process. I believe we all have our own process. But I'm going to tell you, for me, if I waited to grow once the grief was over, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now. I learned that I could grieve and grow all at the same time. I could honor what was and embrace what is and will be all at the same time. It's not an either or. Either you're honoring the past or you're stepping into the future. No, absolutely not. I've learned to do both. I tell my kids you can chew gum and walk at the same time. And so show up as is. Go through the healing. Go through the imperfections of the plan. Let your palms sweat, your knees knock, and then still show up. Because when you start honoring your calling, your purpose in the midst of the circumstance, the doors that felt shut will start unlocking. Let me give you an analogy. How many of you have gone to the mall and you get to those doors, right? And they're the automatic doors. I am telling you, you can go try this today. Go to one of the automatic doors, stand a distance from it, and just wait for it to open. And let me know how that works out for you. Those doors are activated by motion, by action. See, in order to get those doors to open, you're going to have to walk to it. Sometimes it looks like you're going to run right into it because sometimes they seem a bit delayed. But as you start moving, walking toward those doors open as you move forward. So we have to honor our calling in the midst of our circumstances. Here's the thing, and tweet this later on for those of you that are on Twitter. Purpose doesn't eliminate the storm, but it will give you an anchor in the middle of it. Sometimes we feel like if I was doing the things I was supposed to do, why is it so hard? And we take the storm or the hard seasons as evidence that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh my goodness. I have never had so many challenges. I must be doing something wrong. This must not be the career for me. It's just too hard. It's too difficult. This relationship must not be right because there are too many challenges. And I am telling you that the storm is not indication that you are misaligned. Okay? We will have storms right in the middle of our purpose, right in the middle of the plan and will for our lives. Storms will come, but purpose will ground you. It will anchor you. It will root you in the middle of the storm so that you're not just blown away. And for those people that are trying to do all of the things and the things that they're not called to do, oftentimes when something comes, hard seasons, they're blown away because they're not standing in their purpose. And I'll tell you that for life and for business. I've gone through storms in my business. Can we say COVID? Pandemic, right? But I was so rooted in my purpose and my business was so purpose driven that even in the midst of the storm, we were anchored because we knew our why. We knew what we were called to do. We knew who we were called to serve. And so the hard seasons came, but it didn't change the purpose, right? So we just had to anchor in, right? Make sense? Listen, queens. Listen, sis. What I want to leave you with today is I want you to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to anchor in and to lean in to what you're called to do, who you're called to be. See, the whole thing about purpose and calling is not so much about the externals. It's not about the task or the checklist or the to-do list. It's about identity. For example, when I go to the bank, there's money in there that belongs to me. I put it in there. It's mine. But do you know if I go to that bank and I don't have the proper identification, they won't let me access what belongs to me? I mean, I can go in there and cut the fool. But if I don't have the proper identity, identification, I cannot access what belongs to me if I don't show up with the right identification. It's the same way with purpose. Purpose is calling you, and it's saying, yeah, you're saying I'm a millionaire, and it says, show up with the identity of a millionaire. There's some things that millionaires do. There's a way that a millionaire sees themselves. So we're trying to do the things instead of be the thing. And I am telling you that once you get the proper identity, and that's what purpose will do for you. Purpose will say, this is who I am. I'm a millionaire if right now I'm eating beans and franks because I have not yet walked into the manifestation of my millions. But I'm a millionaire. That's my identity. That's how I see myself. I'm a wife. I'm a CEO. I'm an entrepreneur. Whatever it is that you're called to be, lean into that identity, right? Listen to that still small voice, despite the other things, the external things that might be going on around you. They are not an indication that you're not going to be there or have it or be that thing. Oftentimes, it's just the indication that you're getting rooted and grounded. The storm didn't come to stay, it came to pass. And for me, what the storms did in my life was blew away a bunch of stuff that I didn't need in the first place, people included. Okay. All right. My sisters, my brothers, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa. I'm hoping that today's discussion has ignited a fire in you to embrace your authenticity, prioritize your purpose, and become the CEO of your own life. Now, if you want more information about me, please visit my website, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then follow me on all of the socials. And then, if you're ready to take your life and your business to the next level and align it with your purpose, I've created a space for women just like you. Women who are navigating real life circumstances, but still know that they're called to lead, to speak, to build, to heal, and to rise. And that space is called Women with Purpose, Power, and Profits. And this is my free Facebook community for queens who are ready to stop shrinking and start building lives and businesses that's rooted in purpose. Now, inside there, you're going to find encouragement, strategy, real talk, and sisterhood. Because I'm going to tell you, the journey gets lighter when you don't have to walk it alone. So join that free community. I cannot wait to support you there. Okay, soulmates, join me next time as we dive deeper into the strategies and mindset shifts that are needed to build a purpose-driven life and business. I want you to remember that you are purposeful and you are powerful. I believe in you, and I cannot wait to see the incredible things you're going to achieve. So, until next time, my soulmates, keep standing up, keep standing out, and keep standing on business. Bye for now.